Aerospace billionaire saw interdimensional forces. He says UFOs and consciousness are linked. A U.S. billionaire entrepreneur who is working with NASA to create a new expandable spacecraft has said he believes that intelligent aliens are secretly living on our Earth. The most common yet interesting question that many people ask is, are we alone in this universe? The answer has taken a great turn from maybe yes to maybe no in the past few years. There's a long list of credible personalities who never denied the presence of non-human intelligent life among us. Moreover, a few of them are certain that aliens are on Earth. American billionaire Robert Bigelow said something shocking about aliens in November 2017. According to Robert Bigelow, famous in the aerospace industry for the manufacture of inflatable modules, such as those tested out in the International Space Station, there are extraterrestrial beings living among us, he says, and he said that he is absolutely convinced aliens live among us, among humans on Earth. During the interview with CBS 60 Minutes, reporter Lara Logan asked Bigelow if he believes in aliens, and he replied, "I'm absolutely convinced that's all there is to it." He further said, "There has been and is an existing presence on an ET presence." And he continued, he said, "I spent millions and millions and millions, and probably spent more as an individual than anybody else in the United States has ever spent on this subject. You don't have to go anywhere to find aliens, and they are here right in front of people." Bigelow had his own close encounter, but declined to go into detail about it. When the award-winning journalist George Knapp asked his comment on this interview, he said, "There are different ways to go at this. So one is from a hardware standpoint, the other is from the presence standpoint, ET presence. And a lot of people say, well, whether they're, that they can be among the population where they're hybrids or there's some other kind of really look-alike," he says, kind of thing. But so you can look at it different ways, kinds of ways. And so if I know of a really good high-quality researcher who has fantastic academic credentials and background, and he would be predisposed to the latter, saying that, yeah, it could be among us, but he's probably on the more extreme. He's definitely on the more extreme. And others would say, well, you're safe in saying that there's hardware, so that's among us, and hardware kind of context. Well, this is obviously doesn't have a very good way of expressing himself. But anyway, that's his quote. Skinwalker Ranch, a property located in northeastern Utah. And you can find various YouTube videos on this. This is amazing what they've tried. It's unexplainable, some of the things that they're doing there, what they found. Anyway, Skinwalker Ranch in Utah has been the subject of alleged paranormal activity, including UFO sightings and other strange occurrences. The ranch gained notoriety in the 1990s when it was purchased by Mr. Bigelow, who funded a number of studies of the phenomena reported at the ranch. However, the specifics of what has been reported at the ranch and the credibility of those reports have been the subject of much debate and skepticism. Some people believe that the ranch is a hotspot for extraterrestrial activity, while others believe that the reports of strange occurrences at the ranch are the result of hoaxes or misidentifications of natural phenomena. Following his interview with Mr. Bigelow, Knapp then asked if the entities at Skinwalker Ranch would be investigated through the Bigelow Institute for Consciousness Studies, which he founded in 2020 after his wife passed away. Besides, he wondered that if they are among us, can they also be considered alien? And Bigelow said, well, if you follow the literature and pay attention to a lot of other kinds of sources, they absolutely are, he said. And further, Mr. Bigelow shared his personal experience and losses that prompted his interest in life after death, as well as UFOs. He talked about possible links between the consciousness research and UFOs. He also talked about the risks of trying to establish communication with the unknown. And the quote says, that's been mainly what I've been doing, except for the Skinwalker Ranch thing, for 20 years, as the space world has been huge in my life to pursue the legitimate parochial kind of, using fire engine rockets to get you there. We didn't expect anything like this to happen, And so there is this different, this is the Holy Grail, and it's different from the second Holy Grail. If the second one is beings, ET, then the first one is there any part of your consciousness survives your bodily death? That's a big deal, and that's a huge story. It's gigantic, he said. Be a little careful about what you wish for. So on the face of it, communication sounds great, and that, by the way, that has been tried forever, ever since the Oracle of Delphi. I mean, you can go back thousands of years, and that's been attempted. So it's now, not now, in the last 100 years through electronics, and using some kind of electrical apparatus to try to have some kind of communications. And communication can be at all different kinds of levels. There might be communication that just causes you an awareness, he says. And then Knapp asked him what triggered his curiosity about UFOs. Possibly it was after Bob Lazar's story came out. Mr. Bigelow replied that he was already into UFO research. He was looking at UFO stories worldwide to understand what they actually were. In 1992, he started the Bigelow Foundation with Bob Lazar, who worked on reverse engineering recovered extraterrestrial craft at Area 51. Mr. Bigelow also backed Dr. John E. Mack, a professor of psychiatry at Harvard, who wrote 2 popular books about his work with people who told him they had been abducted by aliens, and Bud Hopkins, an artist who became an abduction investigator and also wrote popular books. Mr. Bigelow's investigative team, headed by Colm Kelleher, the Institute's scientific administrator and biochemist, documented their own paranormal events according to a 2005 book titled Hunt for the Skinwalker by Dr. Kelleher and Mr. Knapp. Mr. Bigelow said he saw interdimensional forces at play through portals at certain paranormal hotspots like Skinwalker Ranch, but he also said he had frequently visited the ranch without experiencing the kind of chilling events others reported, as if some intelligence were selecting the people to act upon. He said, I slept like a log every single night. So no human was physically harmed, but he said that he and other visitors often carried strange things home, like a sulfurous stink in a certain part of his house. His wife felt the presence of a faceless creature pressing down on her side of the bed, she said. Bigelow amassed his fortune through a hotel chain, Budget Suites of America, and used his money to fund his UFO study. In an interview with the Associated Press, he said that the UFOs are under our noses, quote-unquote, and wondered why news organizations had not extensively covered UFO sightings. In 2008, Mr. Bigelow secretly created BAS, Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Space Studies, to study the UFO mystery and related phenomena. The public did not know that he had signed a contract with the Defense Intelligence Agency to do an investigation under the AAWSAP program. His political influence has been strong when it comes to UFO study. He once convinced his friend and then Democrat U.S. Senator Harry Reid to allocate $22 million to the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, AATIP, which investigated UFO reports from 2007 to 2012. The majority of the funds were sent to Bigelow's company to investigate, and the allocation was not made public until 2017 New York Times investigation. The Pentagon stated that the program was terminated in 2012, although Reid later stated that he had no remorse about the expenditure. Later, he and his team hired dozens of investigators, scientists, and support staff to work on putting together a huge database of original investigations and UFO files from other countries. The now famous 2004 Tic Tac encounter off the coast of Southern California was one of the cases that BAS looked into. And this is on Collective Spark by Vicky Vermahausen-Wise. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.